Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from IntensiveCareHotline.com, where we instantly improve the lives for families of critically ill patients in intensive care, so that you can make informed decisions, have peace of mind, real power, real control, and so that you can influence decision making fast, even if you're not a doctor or a nurse in intensive care. In the last blog, I talked about when your loved one is critically ill in intensive care, are you still feeling powerless? You can check out the last blog by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's blog, I want to talk about having a loved one critically ill in intensive care. Your comfort zone is your enemy. Before I get into today's topic, I want to share a quote with you that I wrote on today's topic, and the quote says, "When you are faced with the once-in-a-lifetime challenge when your loved one is critically ill in intensive care, you usually hit rock bottom. The fear, the uncertainty, the struggles, the vulnerability, and your lack of knowing what to do gets you to seek for answers and advice really quickly." That's one side of the coin, and on the other side, families in intensive care often put blind faith and unverified trust into the intensive care team's ability to do what's right and to do what's quote-unquote in the best interest for your critically ill loved one. 99% of the families in intensive care think that by letting the intensive care team do their thing will get them the desired outcomes and the desired results, only to find that intensive care teams have agendas that go way beyond your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis. Therefore, families of critically ill patients in intensive care never step outside of their comfort zones by doing their own research, by starting to ask the right questions, as well as asking difficult and specific questions. And they never stop being intimidated by the intensive care team's perceived power and their perceived authority. In order to get the care, treatment, outcomes and results that you want to get and deserve for your family and for your critically ill loved one, you need to stop looking at what the 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care are doing, who don't make informed decisions, who don't have peace of mind, don't have power, don't have control, and who don't have influence. But instead, you need to move outside of your comfort zone very quickly. Do your own research, challenge the intensive care team's perceived power and their perceived authority, and get the care, treatment, results and outcomes that you and your family want and deserve. Getting outside of your comfort zone during this once-in-a-lifetime challenge is crucial if you want to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence really quickly. So let's get into today's topic. When your loved one is critically ill in intensive care, you would have seen by now that if you copy the behavior and thinking of the 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care who make no informed decisions, who have no peace of mind, no control, no power, and no influence, that you are doomed. The 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care who make no informed decisions, have no peace of mind, no control, no power, and no influence, say things like, "Let the doctors and the nurses do their thing. They know what they are doing." Or they say things like, let's not upset the doctors and the nurses and let them get on with their work. Or they say, I know I can't ask too many questions because they're all busy. Or they say things like, surely they will do the best for my loved one. Or they say things like, if the doctors and the nurses don't have time to talk to me, they must be busy. Or they say, I don't have the time to do my own research and it's all too hard. Sounds familiar? I'm sure it does. I have seen it over and over again in more than 15 years intensive care nursing in 3 different countries, where I literally worked with thousands of critically ill patients and their families, as well as when working with clients one-on-one in my counseling and consulting sessions over the phone, via Skype or via email. And I think I have seen my fair share of struggles that families in intensive care are going through. I have also worked as a nurse unit manager in intensive care for more than 5 years, and I have gotten enough insights into the world that is intensive care so that I can confidently say that I can help you and your family, no matter how difficult your situation. It's also something that I experience in my daily practice when I counsel and consult families in intensive care over the phone, Skype or via email. They are just not prepared to do what's necessary to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power and influence quickly. And that's exactly why your comfort zone is your enemy. One of the reasons why I'm shooting this video today is that I had a client recently that I consulted over the phone and via email, and he had the most horrendous experience with one of his family members being in intensive care for nearly 2.5 months. The client's family member eventually passed away, and I believe that their life could have been saved if the intensive care team had done all the right things from the start. They haven't been open and transparent. They never gave the right advice. They have been negligent from the start from my perspective, and they didn't do, let alone suggest, the things that they should have done in order to save a precious young life. It just showed me again that if you are not prepared to step outside of your comfort zone during this once-in-a-lifetime situation very quickly, that you know you can't afford to get this once-in-a-lifetime situation wrong. You are at risk of not getting the best care, the best treatment, and therefore the outcomes that you and your family want and deserve. It also shows me once again that you simply don't know what you don't know. You, your family, and your critically ill loved one are literally walking through a minefield. And it's not your fault. Nobody has ever told you what you need to do when your loved one is critically ill in intensive care, right? Nobody's sitting at home thinking, I wonder what I should be doing if one of my family members gets admitted to intensive care tomorrow or next week. That's not how we humans are wired. It's only when shit hits the fan, so to speak, only then are we faced with challenges that look and feel like they are insurmountable. But when shit hits the fan, you can't be idle, and you can't be sitting on the sidelines watching things as a passive bystander. The stakes are way too high. If you do this, you fall into the category of the 99% of the families of critically ill patients in intensive care who don't make informed decisions, who don't have peace of mind, don't have control, and don't have influence. Think about it for a minute. If your loved one is critically ill in intensive care and is either very unstable and in a very critical condition, is in a life-threatening situation, or is not waking up after an induced coma, or is in intensive care for long-term treatments and long-term stays, including long-term ventilation, or is having a severe or traumatic head or brain injury, or even worse, is threatened with an NFR, not for resuscitation, or DNR, do not resuscitate order. Or what would you do if your critically ill loved one is in a situation where the intensive care team suggests a withdrawal of treatment or a limitation of treatment as being quote unquote in the best interest for your critically ill loved one? Or what if your loved one is really approaching the end of life in intensive care? In those situations, there is no way that you can just stay put and not step outside of your comfort zone. Do your own research, challenge the intensive care team, and in the process, make informed decisions, get peace of mind, get power, get control, and get influence. Therefore, your comfort zone is your enemy. In order to get what you want and deserve, get the care, treatment, outcomes, and results, you need to very quickly embrace your comfort zone and step outside of it. I have seen way too many situations in intensive care, as well as with my counseling and consulting clients, where families in intensive care act when it's already too late. And I know it feels hard picking up the phone and ringing me or sending me an email. But by now you also know that I can help you and your critically ill loved one, otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video. You know by now that there are way too many things happening behind the scenes in intensive care, and you know by now that the intensive care team has an agenda that goes way beyond your critically ill loved one's diagnosis and prognosis. Therefore, you can't afford not to step outside of your comfort zone and do the things that you know you need doing in order to make informed decisions, get peace of mind, get control, get power, and get influence. Finally, I want to close with a quote. There is no growth in your comfort zone, and there is no comfort in your growth zone. Therefore, you've got to take this opportunity and grow beyond this challenge by looking at it as an opportunity for personal growth and development. One way to look at this massive, once-in-a-lifetime challenge is to take this challenge, run with it, and try to master it. If you can handle this massive challenge in life, you can handle any other challenge in life. Any other challenge in life will be peanuts for you if you can successfully handle your loved one's critical illness in intensive care. Anything else you will eat for breakfast. So, how can you become the best advocate for your critically ill loved one, make informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence quickly, whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care? You get to that all-important feeling of making informed decisions, get peace of mind, control, power, and influence when you download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn quickly how to get peace of mind, real power, and real control, and how you can influence decision making fast whilst your loved one is critically ill in intensive care. Your free Instant Impact Report gives you in-depth insight that you must know whilst your loved one is critically ill or is even dying in intensive care. Sign up and download your free Instant Impact Report now by entering your email below. In your free Instant Impact Report, you learn how to speak the secret intensive care language so that the doctors and the nurses know straight away that you are an insider and that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care. In your free report, you will also discover how to ask the doctors and the nurses the right questions, discover the many competing interests in intensive care, and how your critically ill loved one's treatment may depend on those competing interests. How to eliminate fear, frustration, stress, struggle and vulnerability even if your loved one is dying. You get 5 mind-blowing tips and strategies helping you to get on the right path to peace of mind, control, power and influence in your situation. You'll get real-world examples that you can easily adapt to your critically ill loved one's situation. How to stop being intimidated by the intensive care team and how you will be seen as equals. You'll get crucial behind-the-scenes insight so that you know and understand what's really happening in intensive care, and how you need to manage doctors and nurses in intensive care, and it's not what you think. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog, and I'll see you again in another update next week. Make sure you also check out our Your Questions Answered section, where I answer your questions, or simply send me an email to support@intensivecarehotline.com with your questions. Or you can call me. Find phone numbers on the Contacts tab. Also, check out our ebook section, where you get more ebooks, videos and audio recordings, and where you can also get one-on-one counseling and consulting with me via Skype or over the phone, and via email by clicking on the email and phone counseling tabs on the top of the website. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecarehotline.com, and I'll see you again next week in another update.